A lot of us buy a lot of things that are not worth it. What is simply not worth paying a lot of money for?
Cable TV. What a waste of money to pay for countless pointless channels you'll never use. I canceled my cable a few years ago and don't miss it at all. The amount of commercials makes it so unwatchable that if they offered it to me for free, I wouldn't accept it because I just wouldn't watch it. I absolutely cannot go back to watching a program where more than 1/3 of the runtime is commercials. Never again.
A DUI, don't drive drunk kids. For the record, I have never gotten a DUI, but a close friend has, and it's already reaching $5,000 in fines and legal fees.
Services like Uber Eats and Grubhub. It adds a disproportionate amount of cost to you, while cutting the restaurant's profits, and you're left holding the bag to pay the driver via tip. Oh, and your food is usually cold. We got Chinese from Uber Eats last night. It would have been $60 of takeout, which came to $1.88 plus tip. Our driver brought it directly to us because we paid an extra $3 to help avoid cold food. If you don't pay for direct delivery, you can literally watch your driver pick it up, pick something else up, deliver the other item, then deliver it to you.
Clothes. Don't cheap out either, but definitely not worth spending crazy amounts on brand stuff. I think it's also worth spending money on clothes made from materials and weaves that are durable and/or comfortable. Sweaters come to mind as something that is worth spending a bit more on for something that isn't woven with polyester or acrylic, which tend to feel uncomfortable. Plus, thinking about this further, a lot of clothes and shoes can last a long time with proper care. Most people may not know how to care for 100% wool sweaters, or may not know that a cobbler can replace an entire sole if the original construction of the shoe was made well. It may be hard to justify spending a lot on those items, but knowing that they can be fixed every so often can make it a worthy investment.
Phones. That new version isn't so different from the phone you currently have. People just move apps to a new phone and do the same shoot they could have done on the old phone. I just moved from an iPhone 8 to a 14. It's a wild difference. I was living in the Stone Age. My 8 would get bogged down if Facebook or Photos was open, probably because of how much memory they take up. I had to constantly close apps to keep things running smoothly. I had to constantly delete photos because I was running out of space. I think it's silly to upgrade every year, but there is definitely incremental progress over time. It's hard to notice sometimes because the new phones have more resources, so developers use those resources and the result feels the same speed, but running the same app on an old phone will choke it.
Weddings. I've been to big weddings and small weddings and weird ones too. Small weddings always win. The only time I've been truly impressed by an expensive wedding was one 500-person wedding, as it took an army to run on the back end. You could tell a good chunk of money was spent on the staffing and kitchen, and that the bride and groom actually put effort into organizing it. And surprisingly, it wasn't more expensive than some of the tackier weddings I've been to, where you can tell the parents took out a second mortgage and sold a child to Satan to impress guests while serving prison food and skimping on the alcohol. I swear people will brag they dropped $100,000 on a wedding, but the whole show was like watching blind children assemble IKEA furniture while the venue staff berated guests for flushing the toilet too much.
High-end liquor. There's a massive difference between a $10 bottle and a $50 bottle. But $200 bottles, $1,000 bottles, it's just not worth it. My dad is pretty wealthy, and he said, no amount of money is going to make something that's 40% alcohol taste really good, and I think that's accurate. My partner and I bought a cheap bottle of rum for New Year's, thinking we were just going to mix it with Cokes anyway. It was so bad. It tasted like gasoline. There really is a huge difference between that $10 bottle and that $50 bottle.
Designer handbags and sunglasses. Ridiculously expensive clothing in general. Name brands. Some items are worth spending a bit more on: good shoes and quality jackets. Many high-end luxury goods are intentionally priced high only for that very reason, to have a high price tag. The product doesn't cost anywhere near the amount they're selling it for to produce, and it might be of higher quality but not to the degree the price would suggest. The reason they're expensive is that it projects an image of wealth and status, and its high price suggests exclusivity. That's literally all there is to it, vanity. Nothing else. And why the flock would you pay $2,000 for a shirt or bag just because it has some fancy designer's name on it? Wealth signaling, I guess?
If you're enjoying today's video, smash that like button and consider subscribing to the channel for more videos and interesting stories. Now let's get back to the stories of our lives.
Suits. Usually, people can't see any difference between a $400 and greater than $5,000 suit as long as the shape is good. I've spent plenty of money on expensive suits and they were often worse than the cheaper stuff. Even experienced tailors asked me, "Who made it?" The canvas is sometimes not glued and makes a good impression.
Good china and a big bulky hutch to put it in. I'd much rather have one nice set of plates that can go from Taco Tuesday to Thanksgiving and everything in between and can go in the dishwasher. Besides, having 2 or 3 sets of dinnerware just isn't the flex that it maybe used to be a generation or 2 ago. And all for what? So, your children or grandchildren can have no use for it and end up giving it to some thrift store or selling it for a pittance on Etsy?
Cigarettes. I don't smoke anymore, but if I was going to, it would only be decent quality cigs. And I do still occasionally enjoy a nice cigar. I've tried the budget versions of cigarettes and cigars, and they are both terrible. Why kill yourself slowly with something that sucks? So, don't smoke, but if you're going to smoke, at least smoke something good.
The answers here all boil down to this: it's not worth paying a lot of money for something that isn't important to you. The person who said handbag must not really like expensive handbags. But I'm sure there are tons of people who buy expensive handbags because they find them better for any number of reasons, including whatever it does for their social status. I used to think paying $100 for a meal out was insane, but then I started making more money and found that some meals are absolutely worth every penny, even when over $100 for a date night with my wife. We get to try some really different stuff that would be difficult to recreate at home. It's $100 for an experience, hopefully, not just $100 so you aren't hungry anymore.
If you've enjoyed this video, consider subscribing and check out more videos from the channel.